afternoon, family. And good friend, Cosette.
Hello.
Great afternoon.
Hello.
Hi, this is Iyad.
Yeah. Welcome our main guest.
Hello, how are you? Steven, I want to try
Everybody,
to share my screen if I can. Do you see my screen?
yes, I see your screen.
It says failed to launch. Do you see the presentation?
Not yet. We see only your desktop.
Oops. Do you see it now?
No, Iyad is not yet there. Share your screen.
I am trying it. I'm trying to say share screen, but it's not working. Strange.
cannot hear me. They are not hearing me.
Steven, I couldn't share my screen, so I sent you my presentation to your email. If you can open it and display it from your part, and then we can start because we are overdue the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Come to this side. This one. Okay. What you're using which link? Yes, just and they are talking what? Yeah, you put those information they are asking you for the registration. Yeah, put those information. Then you will look in the email. You get and you get the link to enter. You know, the webinar is not like a Zoom meeting. You have to register and then you enter. You put those information. What are the registration? Yeah, put those information. Then you look in the email and you get the link to enter. You know, the webinar is not. You have to register and then what are you are sharing since okay, stop.
Maybe you need to allow screen sharing for participants from your side. This is why probably I cannot share it.
So Christine,
Let me try mine and see
Yeah, yours is
if
okay.
it's not sharing.
Let's share. Then
Maybe
Okay.
you need to
Yes.
allow screen sharing for participants from your side. This is why.
Can you see my screen?
yes.
Yes.
If you see mine, then there is no problem.
Great.
Let me try mine and see
Yours is
if
okay.
it's not sharing. That's my screen. Can you see it?
Yes, we see it.
Oh, then I have no problem with mine. Maybe it's a technical problem from your side.
Probably.
So
Correct.
they popped you out.
Yes.
If you see mine, then there is no problem.
Great.
Let me try mine.
Good.
That's my screen. Can you see it?
Yes, we see it.
So then I have no problem with mine. It's a technical problem from your side.
Correct.
Yes.
So I think now we are all set. We can start.
Screen, can you see it?
Yes, we see it.
Brother Ben, you are okay?
I'm fine. It's only that I hear an echo.
Good. So I think now we are all set. We can start. So good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everybody. Brother Ben, you are okay? Can you get me, everybody?
Mine is only that I hear an echo.
All right. Can everybody mute their microphone so that we don't get much of echo? So good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everybody. All right. To welcome everybody today to this Laudato Si webinar exhibition. It's wonderful to see you today. A big number, I see numbers are rising. Welcome everybody, and it is a great pleasure to be together with you as we celebrate Laudato Si 5th anniversary, World International of Biodiversity. Yeah, it's a great pleasure to welcome you. And today it's going to be an amazing platform with special guests, with some experts, with young people who had been much active, involved in protecting the environment, taking action. So we're going to have people from different continents. It is really a great pleasure and a platform. We invite you all to participate in this. It's going to be an opportunity for learning, for connecting, celebrating. We're going to have talent also here, kind of entertainment. So this is going to be fun. That is why Laudato Si Generation is all about young people taking action to care for our common home. I would like to invite Sister Mary Frances to give us a word of prayer as we start this event. And then after that, we welcome our guest speaker of today as we continue with the program. So far, I welcome you all. Welcome so much. Sister Mary, take it from here.
Thank you. You are welcome, everyone. And I would like us to begin with the Laudato Si week prayer. Loving God, creator of heaven and earth, and all that is in them, you created us in your image and made us stewards of your creation, of our common home. You blessed us with the sun, water, and bountiful land, so that all might be nourished. Open our minds and touch our hearts, so that we may attend to your gift of creation. Help us to be conscious that our common home belongs not only to us, but to all future generations, and that it is our responsibility to preserve it. May we help each person secure the food and resources that they need. Be present to those in need in these trying times, especially the poorest and those at risk of being left behind. Transform our fear, anxiety, and feelings of isolation into hope, so that we may experience a true compassion of the heart. Help us to show creative solidarity in resisting the consequences of this global damage. Make us courageous to embrace the changes that are needed in part of the common good. Now more than ever, may we feel that we are all connected in our efforts to lift the cry of God and the cry of the poor. Make our prayer Christ our Lord.
Amen. Man, thank you so much, Sister Mary. Yes, welcome again, everybody. My name is Stephen Kezamutima. I'm a program manager in this Office of Justice, Peace, and Integrity of Creation, Franciscans Africa. I'm also environmental activist student at the Catholic University of Eastern Africa. I'm part of global team of Laudato Si Generation at representing at African level. So today I'm gonna be the moderator of this event. I welcome all participants and I request everybody as you join, there is a chat box. Introduce yourself, name, organization or institution. Also, we are aware that people are joining from different countries. Yes, it's good to also to put the country where you're coming from. Today is an opportunity of building a strong network of connecting. It's good we remain in touch. Also, we get to know who is joining today. So I want to introduce our guest speaker of today. And it is really a great honor to have Dr. Iyad with us. But it's good also for participants to know a bit about Dr. Iyad. I want to try just to mention a few about him. Dr. Iyad has more than 35 years of experience in international organizations, the private sector, and scientific institutions. He has experience focused on strategies, planning, sustainable development, water resources management, and the knowledge in innovation. Currently, Dr. Iyad is a founder and director of Faith for Earth Initiative and the principal coordinator for engaging with faith-based organizations at UN Environment. Previously, Dr. Iyad held several leading positions, including the regional director and the representative of UN Environment in West Asia from 2012 to 2017. He has been director of knowledge and innovation at UNDP, regional officer in Cairo from 2009 to 2012. He has been senior environment advisor at UNDP in sub-regional resource facilities at Beirut from 2006 to 2009. As global practice manager for the Energy Environment Group in New York from 2003 to 2006. Yeah, assistant resident representative of UNDP in Jordan from 1997 to 2003. Iyad holds a doctorate degree in biochemical engineering from University of Bath in the UK, an outstanding graduate of Virtual Development Academy at Jones University, and a BA in chemical engineering from University of Jordan. So, good people, I beg we welcome this special guest that we have today. We can't take it for granted, but you address the audience. Karibu sana, bienvenue.
Thank you very much, Stephen, and thanks to all participants and organizers for this great honor and opportunity to be with you today to commemorate the 5th anniversary of Laudato Si. Of course, we had the pleasure of hosting most of you last year in Nairobi for the 2nd International Conference on Laudato Si with our friends from SINESA and WWF and others. I wanted to share my screen, but unfortunately, seems I have a technical problem. I've sent the presentation to Stephen, so if he could project it, that would be great. Otherwise, I will just start. Of course, we are, as you all know and as you all witness, we are in unprecedented challenges. The newest challenge is, of course, coronavirus and its political, socio-economic, and health impact. But we should not forget that we have been witnessing also tremendous challenges of climate change. We have seen the previous years being the warmest recorded in history, causing floods and hurricanes, forest fires everywhere, sandstorms, and so on and so forth. And not only climate change, but also we are witnessing, as today is the Biodiversity Day, by the way, we are witnessing biodiversity loss at unprecedented rate, and scientists are expecting to have 1 million species go extinct if we do not act. But we need to understand why is all of this happening, and it goes without any doubt, and the scientists have proved that human activity is a major contribution to all of these unprecedented events and challenges that the environment is facing. We know urbanization is going beyond control. In a few more years, we will have more than 70% of people living in cities, consuming all of the natural resources, polluting the rivers, the waters, and of course, contributing to climate change more and more. While at the same time, we are still cannot feed the hungry people, cannot utilize the resources that we have on a sustainable pattern. So these challenges are imminent, we are facing them on a daily basis, and they have been recognized by the Security Council of the UN. In fact, in 2018, the Security Council was contemplating what are the human security risks that we are facing. And they didn't pick conflicts in the world, they didn't pick nuclear war or what have you, but they have highlighted climate change as the highest risk to human well-being. Just a couple of weeks ago, the UN Secretary General, Mr. Antonio Guterres, announced that the pandemic is the gravest challenge that we are facing since the establishment of the UN 75 years ago. So these unprecedented challenges would require from us unprecedented actions. We cannot continue business as usual. With his vision, with his care for the creation, with his feeling for the poor and for the planet, Pope Francis in 2015 and his team came up with Laudato Si. And Laudato Si, I am sure most of you have read it. It describes what are the global challenges, and it provides some sort of a comprehensive process for solving these global challenges, whether they are environmental, security, poverty, and what have you. So the 6 chapters of Laudato Si highlight the different aspects. One of the main and important chapters is, to my belief, is that chapter 3, where it connects the human activity to the challenges that we are facing, specifically environmental challenges. But then Laudato Si goes to a solution and proposes the integral ecology as part of the solution. And this very much aligns with Agenda 2030 and the Sustainable Development Goals, the integrated approach. We cannot leave or if we do not have a healthy planet. So the 5 Ps, the people, planet, prosperity, partnership, and peace, are very much reflected in Laudato Si. The Laudato Si goes further in proposing some actions, and this year, and hopefully it will be announced soon, that this is the year of Laudato Si. So people are requested to take action throughout the year and not only commemorate one day. So similarly, the UN, as you know, in 2019, during the General Assembly, have adopted the Sustainable Development Goals and Agenda 2030, and which has started being implemented in January of 2016. So this year we will be celebrating, well, not celebrating, but actually monitoring 5 years of implementation of the Agenda 2030. Whatever we do, and this is the message of Laudato Si, and this is the message of the Faith for Earth initiative, whatever we do, we need to do it with an ethical approach. And this is why we have established the Faith for Earth initiative, to bring the ethical component, the values, the principles of religions into the implementation of the Agenda 2030. So do we have a ground to work on? Yes, we do. As you all know, more than 8 to 9 people all over the world, they believe in a belief, they believe in a faith or a religion. So we all have a point of reference to go back for our ethical values and approaches and so on. And we know that religions actually dictate what we eat, what we drink, and what we dress, and so on. So it's a living or it's a guidelines for how to live gently on earth. Now, also, some of you know that faith-based organizations are among the richest. They do provide education. They own more than 50% of the schools. They provide health services. They own more than 50 to 60% of healthcare systems. They own vast amounts of lands and resources and forests. So they can, faith organizations themselves, practice what the religions call for. So from this background, we came up with the Faith for Earth initiative and its mission to inspire action to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals by faith leaders and faith-based organizations, with a vision to get to a world where all creations live in balance. So the overarching goals of the initiative is, first of course, is the partnership between and among faith-based organizations and international organizations to provide a platform for policy dialogue. So we do not want the faith organizations to be at the periphery of actions, but we want them to be engaged and included in the decision-making system. The second goal is, as we are now calling for building back better after the devastation of all these challenges, we want to have faith organizations green their investments and their assets. And few days ago, 3 or 4 days ago, 42 faith-based organizations have announced their divestment policies from fuel and other carbon-based economies. So this is a very encouraging progress. And the third goal is actually to connect the scientific evidence to the religious teaching. Wherever the sacred scripts in all of the religions relate to the environment, that needs to be supported by the scientific evidence, so faith leaders can speak without a doubt about their calls for caring for our common home and the creation. Now, indeed, the Agenda 2030 and the Sustainable Development Goals are and should continue to be at the front and center of our attention. This is why in the Faith for Earth initiative, we have linked how can faith-based organizations, faith leaders, and faith followers actually contribute to achieving the SDGs. For example, if we take climate change, the SDG 13, which is caused by human activity and the carbon dioxide and so on, faith organizations can start immediately, and some have already started, in greening the houses of worship. We find around the world that some churches have started installing solar systems to produce their energy. So with our knowledge that there are more than 50 million churches and mosques and synagogues and so on, and countless number of temples, these can immediately contribute to sustainability by shifting their energy production to solar systems. As I mentioned, 50% of the schools are owned by faith-based organizations. So they actually run fleets and buses in thousands and hundreds of thousands of buses. So if all of these faith-based run schools can shift into e-mobility, then this can be a humongous contribution to working on climate change. Now, as a lot of the participants are young people, of course, youth are very much at the center of actions. Some people say the young people are the future. No, they are actually the present. They are changing things already. They are leading the way, so they should continue doing so. But it should not only be part of their advocacy campaigns or voluntarism activities and so on. They need to get to the table of decision making. They need to make their voices heard. They need to start electing their representatives, those who believe in the need for a healthy planet to be able to contribute to political and economic and social development. But of course, that does not undermine any of the voluntary work that young people are already doing. They are leading innovation and creativity on the technology front. We know we're going into the fourth industrial revolution that is based on the internet, and certainly the young people are actually leading. Now, what can we do? And we are facing a tremendous health challenge with the pandemic and with the lockdown and so on. We need to get out of this crisis stronger than ever. We need to change our behavior. We're all sitting in our homes, reducing our use of resources. So this should continue to be a behavior a transformation, not only because we cannot do so, but because this is the way it has to be. We need to encourage and advocate building back better. We cannot agree anymore that we base our economies on fossil fuel. There are alternatives, there are cheaper alternatives, there are cleaner alternatives that we can resort to. So we cannot go back after the pandemic to the way we used to work. we need to understand the linkages between the environment and biodiversity. And this is very important because 75% of the epidemics and pandemics that we have been witnessing are actually caused by the relationship between humans and animals, and how we have played with this interrelationship. And 75% of these diseases come from a animal source. So we have destroyed this balanced relationship. So we need to make sure that we do not step on the toes of our nature. And of course, we need to come up with a different type of economy. We need a green economy that leads to inclusive socio-economic development, and not only contribute to increasing the wealth with the little number of people who control the wealth. So finally, Laudato Si, the work of the international organizations are very well synchronized. We need to practice what we have been able to understand and acknowledge. The knowledge that we have already is unprecedented. We are the most knowledgeable era of since the creation of Earth. So we need to use that for the benefit of the people and the planet. So thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Wow, wow. Amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Iyad, for this wonderful presentation. And I think young people who are here online, they are very much inspired, they are very much encouraged, because today they are aware that Laudato Si Generation, we are focusing on young people, the work of young people. And I'm very happy that you've really acknowledged that young people has been very, very active, very, very involved, very innovative, creative. Yeah, also I was happy to hear that they just need to be at that table of decision making. I think if that opportunity is there, we are good to go, because I think young people have understood that like they've taken control of the situation. So thank you so much, Dr. Iyad, and I know there'll be opportunity for also participants to get in touch with you to ask some question. But also I invite participants to put in chat box some questions that you might have, or just write down what has touched you from the presentation of our guests, so that we continue also discussing through chat box. As we welcome our second guest, who is Father Benedict Ayodi from the Global Catholic Climate Movement. Father Benedict Ayodi, before he becomes the GCCM Africa Program Manager, he has been also in charge of justice and peace at Rome. Then after he came to Africa to manage this program of Global Catholic Climate Movement. And one of his agenda also is to lead this Laudato Si program, to make it reality in Africa, in our churches, at the grassroots. So Brother Benedict Ayodi, we welcome you. Yeah, please come talk to us. I know there are many good news from you. Thank you.
I know I have a very short period of time to talk, so I'll go right my presentation. I'll share. Can you be able to see it?
Yes.
Are you there?
Yeah, we see it.
Okay. So again, thank you, Steve. Thank you very much for giving me this chance to talk. And after a year, I know he went into details on what we are celebrating, but especially during this Laudato Si week. I like to say that the Laudato Si generation is very important to the global Catholic climate movement, because the Pope Francis speaks of the future. The Laudato Si generation is a very, very important organ, and as you know, it was initiated in 2016, following the World Youth Day in Panama, and it was inspired, of course, by Pope Francis. And the main purpose of the Laudato Si generation is to motivate the youth to take climate action and climate justice. So that is why we see they're very active, and especially even the Catholic youths, they are getting into it and doing a lot of stuff. And among the people, there is a strong and widespread sensitivity to ecological themes and sustainability that the encyclical Laudato Si has galvanized. We are indeed mindful that the ecological crisis is not only an intergenerational injustice, but also an intergenerational injustice towards the poor and most vulnerable people. As Pope Francis wrote, both in every experience that scientific research show that the gravest effects of attack on environment are suffered by the poorest. That's Laudato Si, paragraph 48. That is how the migration crisis is closely related to the environmental destruction. We know very well our young people are dying in the Mediterranean, trying to look for greener pastures in Europe and other places. I've been working in Italy for some time, and I worked even in Lampedusa. And many times I will meet our young African brothers and sisters who risk it all to cross the Mediterranean to go into Europe. So migration is another. Climate migrants are there indeed. Most importantly, the sensitivity translates into an appeal to ruling classes to act, because young people demand change. And this is what Pope Francis says in Laudato Si number 13. Indeed, there is a vibrant youth movement that is rising up across the globe, challenging the generations in power to take climate change and ecological crisis more seriously. Young activists are taking unprecedented action, ranging from climate strikes of high school students to lawsuits against governments for not doing enough to tackle climate change. At the heart of his encyclical, Pope Francis asks the question to Christians and even non-Christians, what kind of world do we want to leave to those who come after us? To children who are now growing up? There's a very profound question. And I would like just us to pause for a minute and ask that question. And remember, the future generations are even beyond me, beyond even Steve, you know. So it is important to reflect on that question always, because the future and the future of those who will come after us is in grave danger indeed. For a long time, humanity has embarked in an irresponsible path of environmental destruction that still makes our present time, affecting the future. In the encyclical Laudato Si, it is underlined that the doomsday predictions can no longer be met with irony or disdain. We may well be leaving to coming generations debris, desolation, and filth The Pope speaks about this in Laudato Si 161. Indeed, the present generation is not doing enough to leave them a healthy planet. Being so short-sighted is an unacceptable injustice. And again, the Pope asks, what kind of world do we want to leave to those who come after us? To children who are now growing up. Young Catholics are also stepping up as never before. However, it is never enough indeed. Even here in Africa, the whole continent, indeed, we call upon young people to rise up and not be left behind. Our youths are talented, skilled, and creative, and should assume responsibility. Indeed, I'm so proud of the Franciscan youth and the Laudato Si generation, led by Steve, who is now leading us here with the Waka Waka band. They produced the song we will be launching today. We need to tap into our potential as young people around Africa and promote not only climate action, but also spiritual growth and ecological conversion. And these are the elements that the global Catholic climate movement is promoting. The church has a critical role to play in advancing this ecological conversion within the church itself and in all the social, economic, political, and institutional realities. This too is the goal of the GCCM, to inspire the church and others into a spiritual or ecological conversion, to encourage a change of heart. It's about going back to yourself and asking yourself, how am I connected to my Creator? To call for a footprint reduction, to lead by example, and indeed for a prophetic advocacy to raise our humble voices for climate justice, calling for bold policies. This is the time to act indeed, the time for our brothers and sisters to stand up, as St. Francis will implore his brothers, at the end of his life when he was facing sister death. He said, I implore you, let us begin again, for up until now, we have done little or nothing. So it's a challenge for us, my dear brothers and sisters, that let us stand up, let us do something concrete, and especially the youth, so that we may, we may have something to offer for those people who come after us. So thank you again. God bless you all as we continue with this.
Thank you so much, Father Ben, for this encouragement, inspiration also to young people. And I think they are all here. They've heard that your mission, the mission of Global Catholic Climate Movement, is to inspire young people in the church, is also to inspire the church leaders, church institutions, to mentor young people and to support them in taking action, because we all acknowledge that they are key in this change that we are looking for. So thank you so much. And I also request participants to keep sharing their chats in the book, the information questions in chat box. I know Father Ben also will be looking into that and responding to some, the same to also Dr. Iyad. And I would like also to invite another guest that we have today. It's also all guests today. We are really honored because we have amazing guests. And this one is Kelly Mortensen from US. Kelly Mortensen is a member of Secular Franciscan Order in the US, and she's also a convener of Interfaith Public Health Network. Yeah, he lives in New York. You know, people are aware, like in Nairobi, we've been having interfaith on peace and environment. But today we are blessed to hear another aspect of health when we are coming together from different faiths. So Kelly, welcome. Welcome so much, and share with us and with all young people who are tuned today.
Thank you, Stephen. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. So I wanted to share just some connections we're talking about between Laudato Si and climate change and health. And I think it's important to recognize that addressing climate change can be beneficial to human health as well as beneficial to the environment. So you know that all of you in Kenya and Africa, you're doing really great work with the planting trees. It's beneficial. It helps pull carbon out of the atmosphere and integrates it into the soil. And there's other things that we can do that's beneficial for environment and human health, planting wider variety of different types of trees, plants, and other crops to help to ensure nutritious food for everyone. We need to work to build strong, resilient food systems as they benefit both the environment and health. It's also important to recognize that the highest rates of people dying from the coronavirus are people with underlying diseases, such as heart and lung diseases, as well as diabetes. And these are connected to what we take into our body through food that we eat, as well as the air that we breathe. Pope Francis says in Laudato Si, "The earth, our home, is beginning to look more and more like an immense pile of filth." And not only is pollution ugly to look at, it also has health consequences. Also in Laudato Si, it says some forms of pollution are part of people's daily experience. Exposure to atmospheric pollutants produces a broad spectrum of health hazards, especially for the poor, and causes millions of premature deaths. So we need to work for clean air by making sure that transportation options are run on clean energy and not dirty fossil fuels, which have toxins in them. Vehicle emissions include toxic chemicals, heat trapping greenhouse gases, and fine particulate matter, impact public health and heighten climate change risks. Actually, every person loses almost 2 years of their life on average due to air pollution. 9 out of 10 people in the world are breathing polluted air. And according to the World Health Organization, globally around 7 million people die from it annually, making air pollution the world's greatest health threat. A major problem is the lack of vehicle emission standards, strong emission inspection systems, and clean fuels for automobiles in majority of African countries. Part of the reason is when emission regulations become stronger for new vehicles in industrialized countries, cars as old as 25 years that do not meet new emission standards are being exported to Africa. And not enough regulation contributes to more than 90% of air pollution deaths occurring in poor countries, primarily in Asia and Africa. Laudato Si states, frequently no measures are taken until after people's health has been irreversibly affected. But there are groups that we can work with to address this, like the Climate and Clean Air Coalition, which is a global partnership to reduce climate pollutants to fight climate change and air pollution. We need to work together to not only promote clean solutions, but to reduce the pollution emissions that are bad for health and environment. As the notion of integral ecology tells us, humans and Earth are interconnected, and biodiversity and clean air are good for health and the environment. So, thank you so much for that opportunity.
Wow. Thank you so much, dear Kelly. Yeah, and I see there's some questions in chat box. Yes, so I request like why we are still having this presentation, so you can look into some questions. If you can chat, then after also we'll get some opportunity of interaction. So at this particular point, I would love to have a break with the short entertainment. And on program, we're gonna have the song Anti-COVID-19 by the Waka Waka Band. And I request that technical, but Kelly will help us to play this so that everybody can have it. This is a song which was made by young people trying to give hope to people and planets, trying to connect like what's happening and what is the future, advocating for a just recovery. So listen to it, and also it can give you some insights. You can also make some comments about it. It is on my YouTube. So welcome, Kelly, play that song for us.
I have to take myself out from mute again. Okay.
Waiting. I think we need to apologize for maybe for issue of network. I'm seeing everybody are not like hearing even from our side. So we will share the link of this song. People can play it after maybe because I think there is an issue of network. It is too slow and also no sound. Do you think, Kelly, there is something you could improve? Or let us continue maybe.
Sorry, I didn't realize that you didn't have sound. I had this, I made sure I wasn't on mute, so not sure why. I don't know. Let me see if there's sound in Zoom somewhere. sure. Volume is up. Microphone. Sure how to do you want me to try again?
Yes. And you unplug headphone if you have.
I don't have headphones in.
I don't know. Okay.
Can you hear that? Did you?
Try.
Was that better?
Not really.
No. The volume is all the way up.
You are not sharing, in fact.
Oh, I'm not sharing.
Mm.
Let me try again. Can you hear?
Coming. Try to increase the YouTube volume. I think we.
Can you not hear it?
Let us. Okay, we'll share the link after. Maybe some people can play it after this. Thank you for trying.
So,
Sorry, maybe,
So
maybe I had the volume up, so I'm not sure why it didn't work.
so we try again maybe.
So we try again maybe the second song.
Let's now,
Let's now at this particular point invite another guests.
I want to introduce to you.
I want to introduce to you Sister Mary Wangari Sebastian. Sister Wangari is a Franciscan sister, the congregation of Little Sisters of St. Francis, St. Joseph. She's also deputy provincial, and Sister Mary has worked in different fields: human rights, environment, justice and peace. Before she comes to work with the Office of Justice, Peace and Integrity of Creation, Franciscans Africa, she was working with LSK, where she worked as good governance officer, deputy coordinator, and the acting coordinator. Currently, Sister Mary Wangari Sebastian, she's the director in the Office of Justice, Peace and Integrity of Creation, Franciscans Africa. She's also the one partnering with the Catholic University of Eastern Africa and Faith for Earth initiative today in organizing these beautiful events. Let us welcome Sister Mary Francis to talk to us. Welcome, Sister.
Thank you, Steve. I'll be very brief. Justice and Peace and Integrity of Creation, JPICFA, is an office belonging to the Association of Franciscan Family in Africa. It is the arm of lobbying and advocacy in Africa, and it is consists at least that 8 congregations, that one women group, that of women groups, that is women religious, 7 of men religious, and the secular Franciscan. We at JPIC Franciscans Africa have contacts across the continent, but most of the work has been within Eastern Africa, that is Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, and Ethiopia. I'll share with you about Interfaith Youth Forum on Environment and Peace. It's one and unique platform that we have, and we bring together more than dozens of young people from different faiths, associations, high schools, and universities. This is an opportunity for religious leaders from different denominations to address the participants by highlighting their understanding and their role in promoting peace and care for creation. It's a platform for youth from different denominations to come together to mingle together, share their view and experience to eliminate stereotypes related to religions. Thus, it avoids conflict to emerge between the young people who are from the start. From there, they start relationship and networking. Networking and creation of partnership is a mandate that JPIC Franciscans Africa was given. One of the biggest programs that brings the partners together in the Interfaith Youth Forum is the Interfaith Youth Forum since the year 2014. Office has partnered and networked with Catholic University, specifically Center for Social Justice and Ethics, Mother Earth Network, and before it opened its doors to the other partners to enhance the collaboration. We are open to any partner committed to the young people. Laudato Si Generation. This is an outcome practical program from Laudato Si, the encyclical letter of Pope Francis, to care for our common home. We work with Laudato Si clubs in schools and parishes, and this program teaches young people and people in different faiths to stand for climate justice as a spiritual action. For your information, Laudato Si encyclical has been embraced by all faiths within Kenya and Africa. Within the Franciscan family, we have that 8 congregations, as I had said earlier, and we have trained a big team of brothers and sisters on promoting Laudato Si and as animators of justice and peace. We expect to start making impact. We expect them in return to start making impact in their congregations and go to their local communities where they serve. As religious men and women, we have role models like St. Francis of Assisi, Pope Francis, and we refer on scriptures like Bible and the Catholic social teachings, including the Quran, because of interfaith. We have already many successful stories of our brothers and sisters engaging women, children in schools, parishes, and communities through planting of trees. And one of our biggest campaign is birthday campaign, planting tree campaign, where we plant trees and cut a cake for a birthday. Today, as we celebrate International Day of Biodiversity and 5th anniversary of Laudato Si, mine is to say congratulations to all our young people who have taken control of their future as well as religious who are mentoring and supporting young generation in the journey towards climate justice. 2030 is near to us. We have just 10 years to achieve sustainable development. So keep it up together. We can, and God is with us. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Sister Mary. Thank you for sharing with us those initiatives. Yeah, because people need to know, like religious women and the men, what is their role in promoting this Laudato Si. So, Sister Mary, we thank you so much. And also at this particular point, like you are aware that one of big agenda of Laudato Si this time is divestments, like to encourage church institutions, yes, and others to divest from fossil fuel and embrace renewable energy. So the guest that we are going to introduce is Father Peter Mbaro. He's current director of Center for Social Justice and Ethics at the Catholic University of Eastern Africa. And as we talk about divestments, I know he's going to inform us, like, it's good and it's a great honor that they were part of the major event of 18th at GCCM when Catholic institutions were divesting. So to see that Catholic University has joined other institutions in divestment is a great thing. So we welcome Father Mbaro to share with us yeah, the role that you've been playing into this. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much, Steve, and the whole team. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Sorry, Father, fix where your camera so that I can see you, the face thing.
Can you see me well
the
now?
Face, we need to see the face. Yeah, that's okay. Not ready, not yet.
Not yet?
Fix again. No. That way.
Okay.
Yeah, if it remains stable, like that's okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Welcome.
Once again, good evening. I am Father Peter from the Catholic University of Eastern Africa, working in the Center for Social Justice and Ethics. And we at the Catholic University have been involved in the Laudato Si activities, and especially working with young people, because the Center for Social Justice and Ethics, which is a center at the Catholic University, is charged with the responsibility of teaching the young people and journeying with young people in the promotion of justice and peace. And of course, our programs, especially the academic programs, are geared towards this. And the Justice and Peace program, which of course is a peace building program, is very much based on the social teaching of the church. And among the 7 key principles, the principle number 7 is on the environmental care. And that's why Laudato Si resonates very well with what we teach at the Catholic University of Eastern Africa. And one of the things that we've emphasized is to conscientize our young people on the importance of inculcating the principle of intergenerational interdependence. And this is what we need really to capitalize on. Dr. E had said very well that our young people are not always to be told that they are leaders of tomorrow. They are leaders today. And therefore, the importance of emphasizing intergenerational interdependence and conscientizing our young people on this principle is very, very important. And our Catholic University programs, especially in the Center for Social Justice, has been emphasizing this. And therefore, ours is really to conscientize our young people that today, the decision they make, the action they take, insofar as climate is concerned, insofar as environmental care is concerned, will affect not only future generation, but it will affect either positively or negatively the current generation and have an impact into the future generation. Once they are aware of this, that means therefore they will be able to act and act well based on this kind of conviction. And of course, we try to journey with our young people, calling on them to inculcate what you call the environmental ethics and environmental justice. When you talk about environmental ethics, it's how they conduct themselves every day, conscious of that fact that they have to care for the Mother Earth, as Laudato Si calls each and every one of us to be conscious of. And therefore, ours is really to journey with them, even as they do everyday activity. They carry out their everyday activity to be conscious of this. And practically, in the Catholic University, our young people have embraced this call. One, they have even had activities towards reducing the use of plastic materials. And they have even had in the past a day when they were collecting plastic material within the compound, conscientizing the other young people that it is important not to use a non-degradable material within the university. And that even when they are carrying their, like for example, water, they don't use those bottles. They carry, bottles that they are able to fill in water, use that water and not dispose of, the plastics. Another activity that they have done is to always celebrate, and Sister Mary has even impressed on this, to always celebrate their birthday by doing an activity that will renew the environment. And that's why they plant trees and they cut cakes. And in that way, they are conscientizing each other and bringing into consciousness of the other young people that it is possible not, to continue degrading the environment or destroying the environment. And this has been very, very encouraging. Another thing that I would like to say is that the Catholic University has joined the team of the Catholic institutions and other religious institutions in divestment. And recently, the Vice Chancellor signed, a call from the Catholic climate change movement, saying that the university is moving towards installation of a panel, or what we call the solar panels, in order to start generating energy that is, renewable energy, and to divest from what we call the fossil energy. And I think this is a big, big move. We are hoping that, financial capability and the social, political, and economic environment will help the university to go, to realize that goal. Once we realize that goal, definitely, we will be able to enter into the league of those institutions that are going towards helping the world recover from the damage that has been caused by Puritans, and especially by use of what we call the fossil energy. And another thing that we need also to be conscious of, now I'm coming towards the conclusion, is that the young people are the drivers today of this change. The young people are the drivers. Of course, that does not mean that we who are old are not going to do anything, but we have to journey side by side by our young people and make our young people to carry the fundamental message of environmental care. Number one, that we have a responsibility to take care of all of God's creation. Each one of us has a responsibility. And once the young people know that, they will move very fast to take that responsibility. Number two is that we have to respect every one of God's creation. We have to respect every one of God's creation, regardless of what impact that being is, or that being contributes to the environment. But we have to respect every one of God's creation. And once our young people realize that, then they will be champions of climate management. And number three, that we have to ensure that God's goods of creation are equitably shared by all people. And that is where now the young people will understand intergenerational interdependence, so that they know what we do today affects our brothers and sisters today, and it will also equally affect our brothers and sisters in the future generation. But all in all, we need, and I conclude, we need to develop personal ethics when it comes to environmental care. Personal ethics, because that personal ethics will guide how I behave each and every day towards the environment. And that personal ethics will eventually contribute to building of a societal ethics, and that will lead to what we are now championing and what Laudato Si is calling to develop a global ethics. Otherwise, thank you very much, and even for having this opportunity to share in this panel. Thank you. God bless us, and let us keep the world clean.
Thank you so much, Father Pitambaro, to share with us about a church institution. Yeah, I think is very important, and is key, connecting even to what Dr. Iyad has shared with us. Yeah, it's good that church institutions, parishes, we are many around the world. And if we all take action, this could really make an impact in this world, and we could reach the change that we are looking for. So still, I invite participants to continue share in chat box. What do you like? What did you learn? What is touching you in what our speakers are presenting? Then later we'll get an opportunity of interacting with others. At this particular point, I would like to invite another guest to share with us about Laudato Si, what we call Laudato Si revolution. And this sounds very interesting. And Father Jacek Orzechowski, I'm sorry for the pronunciation, I know. He's an OFM Franciscan brother. He's a Franciscan friar of Holy Name Province in Washington, D.C. He's a member of Justice, Peace, and Integrity of Creation Animation Committee, General Office for the OFM Friars. So welcome so much, Father. Father is going to share us a bit about Laudato Si Revolution. Welcome.
Well, wonderful. Peace and all good. Delightful to be on this webinar with you. Just want to mention that a little bit over a year ago, a number of Franciscans from across the world had participated in the plenary council of the order in Nairobi. And one of the insights and the commitments that they made was that as the entire order, we're going to focus on Laudato Si. So in 2 days, we'll be launching Laudato Si Revolution that will culminate in the the general chapter of our order in Philippines. Now, I'm part of the OFM branch. There are other branches, Capuchins and Conventuals, and the members of our Justice and Peace office in Rome, they have been also in conversation with the leaders of the 2 other branches, and we are coming together on that. Now, I would like to briefly highlight some elements of that campaign. One has to do with challenging ourselves as Franciscans, Franciscan institutions, parishes, schools, to really take Laudato Si seriously, to reflect on the spiritual dimensions, the social dimensions, to serve as an example, not only through preaching and teaching, but also to green our facilities, something that the previous panelists have also touched on. We need to not talk the talk, but also walk the walk. So lifting up examples of our ministries, parishes, schools that are in the process of transitioning, but also figuring out processes that would help assist other communities in those energy transition, and to look for resources so that those who are in more difficult financial situations will be able to access the resources necessary to assist them in that energy transition. So I also mentioned about the lifestyle changes, to develop those the ecological habits, and part of the Laudato Si revolution involves collaboration with other entities. So there are a number of organizations that are partnering with us, among them Global Catholic Climate Movement, Catholic Climate Covenant, Franciscan Media in the United States. As a matter of fact, earlier on this week, I had a meeting with the staff of Franciscan Media in the United States. And one thing that they ask for are stories, stories from the frontline communities that are being impacted. So one area in which I see us maybe kind of collaborating is to identify especially younger people in parts of Africa that are being impacted, and connecting those voices to the young people in the United States and other parts of the world, to weave that the fabric of the global community. In a way, I see it as a call to be more truly Catholic, universal, and also to harness the power of prophetic imagination. We as Franciscans are known to be at our best as storytellers. So how do we be kind of a troubadours of hope? Not only on one hand, having the stories of communities being impacted, but also the stories of people taking action. I'm very interested in learning more about the project that is being spearheaded in Africa of reforestation. Well, is there a way that other people, be it in North America and Europe, might be able to get involved and collaborate? To capture, to harness the power of imagination. And also the last element that I wanted to speak is the challenge of involving, being engaged not only at the spiritual and religious level, but also at the political level. Everything is profoundly interconnected. And I live in the United States, in Washington, and there's so much work to be done. This year we have the election, and there's very consequential. But again, we wanted to, as part of the Franciscan Laudato Si revolution, also delve into a healthy, how to develop healthy politics and engage people from the grassroots to be part of the decision making and the healing. So thank you very much, and I look forward to collaborating with Stephen and with you all. Peace.
Thank you so much. Well, amazing. Thank you so much, Father Jacek. Really, this is very much inspiring, and I'm sure my fellows who are tuned are learning, and they are being inspired. Today Laudato Si Generation, Laudato Si in general. The theme of this celebration is everything is connected, and through that Laudato Si, there are many aspects. The care of our earth and the care of the poor, the care of the little ones, the care of environment, the care of human life. I would like to bring on board somebody else. Mr. Richard Kaketo is a lay Franciscan, is also a lecturer at the Catholic University of Eastern Africa. Yeah, he has been very much involved in mentoring youth to care for our common home, but especially the care of human life in a special way that he's going to explain to us. Mr. Richard Kaketo, welcome, and talk to us. Richard?
Okay. You hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you very much. I'm thankful for the previous speakers for the lifestyle changes they suggest. I'd like to start by pointing out that at the level of advocacy for
We're not getting you. We are losing you, Richard.
I was saying that I'd like to point out that at the level of engaging with government, it might be necessary for purposes of the care of our common home to target policies regarding food production. We have governments that intend to improve the production of food in our countries, but they do so by subsidizing production of foodstuffs, and by subsidy always they will be subsidizing farm inputs. And the farm inputs that are always subsidized are inorganic fertilizer. They are usually herbicides, many of which are usually a byproduct of fossil fuels. So as we do our work in terms of raising the Laudato Si generation, matters concerning the food that we eat with regard to our lifestyle changes will remain impeded as long as governments are still maintaining production policies that are anti-environment. I would like also to point out the issue of paragraph 50 of Laudato Si. Paragraph 50 of Laudato Si seems to suggest to us that we should not be blaming the human population for the problems of climate change. We should be tackling human behavior. Yet it is the case that for a faith-based practitioner in the care of our common home, we are implicated into the category of environmentalists who think that the human population is part of the problem. We have seen a number of organizations that during COVID-19, other than pushing for a proper response to the suffering of the people and hospitalization of the people, they have been pushing for adding abortion to the agenda of what is happening. They are pushing a lot of agenda items on sexual and reproductive rights for the sole purpose of making it a priority at a time when communities are supposed to be thinking about survival. So the young people we have been working with have been promoting what we call chastity, having the young people self-disciplined. And the discipline associated to chastity is the discipline that we might need even in the care of our common home. The choice to self-restrain might be the kind of choice we have to take in how we use what we use. The young people at the Catholic University have been strong on promoting the idea of chastity among young people. They have been going out to challenge abortion organizations. They've been marching to try and affirm the gift of life. If we teach people to protect life in its entirety, then nature will follow. We cannot say that we are protecting nature as over and above the human life. Thank you very much for the opportunity to share.
Stephen, you're muted.
We can't get you, Stephen. No sound yet.
Richard is very good. Hello? Yes. Can you hear me? All right. So it's good to hear that there are other young people who have been involved in care for human life, when others are on the side of environments, care for our common home. Yes, all results coming together, we are able to make this positive impact together. Thank you so much, Richard. I know we would have somebody also to ask question or add input on that. At this particular point, I would like to have somebody else bring another aspect. We are still connecting to the theme of everything is connected. So I'm bringing like these speakers in from different angles so that people can see this connection where it is. Mrs. Susan Barnett is going to tell us about Faith for Safe Water. As you know, water is life. Water is like almost everything. We can't live without water. But what is spiritual aspect of it? So, Susan, welcome. Share with us. Introduce yourself. Introduce what you do, and then I know you have a short clip that to share. Maybe from your side, you have a good internet to share with us. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Good morning from New York City. It's good to be with you. I'm here to tell you that water is also a victim of climate change. Every day brings too much water, not enough water, dirty water. So thank you for inviting me here today to say a few words about water. And I want to start by telling you about Christian. Christian is a 9-year-old boy in the Central American country of Honduras who had an infection that spread to his left eye. It's what's called a neglected tropical disease. NTDs are a group of diseases, often caused by dirty water, that impact 1.4 billion people and 500 million of them are children. NTDs can cause everything from infections and pain to blindness and death. However, they are preventable and they're treatable. All Christian needed to clear up his infection was continual hand and face washing. And you can guess what happened. His family didn't have access to clean water. His parents were shocked as Christian's infection formed a tumor over the left side of his face. They suffered as he suffered for 2 long years from a disease that was treatable. And at age 11, Christian died. His story is not unique. It is repeated thousands of times every day. The lack of access to safe water is killing more kids than malaria or war, HIV, AIDS, tuberculosis combined. Unsafe water is depriving children, especially girls, of their education, health, hope, and sometimes even life itself. Water is also a theme throughout Laudato Si. The Pope rightly calls water a threat of great inequity. Our world, he wrote, has a grave social debt towards the poor who lack access to drinking water because they are denied the right to a life consistent with their inalienable dignity. Now, I hope you will hold on to these 2 thoughts. First, consider that the first thought is consider that water is the only symbol shared by every world religion. Water cleanses, purifies, and sanctifies in religious ceremonies and religious rituals all over the world. It's no surprise that religions honor water. Without it, life cannot exist. Second, disease, poverty, indignity, and death are not what our shared symbol is meant to be. One of the areas many of us have been deeply committed to is getting WASH, which is short for water, sanitation, and hygiene, into healthcare facilities. WASH is the foundation for safe and dignified care, and yet it is absent in literally hundreds of thousands of healthcare facilities worldwide. Most of you are going to be parents someday. Can you imagine giving birth in a healthcare facility without clean water? Many of you are thinking about or are even starting your careers, and some of you will be going into health professions. And I really hope you do. You are so needed. But imagine trying to treat sick patients or women giving birth without adequate water, soap, toilets, and hygiene. These conditions present a daily and dangerous reality for staff and patients alike. Now add in this historic COVID-19 pandemic. I'd like to share with you a short video, some thoughts from some healthcare workers early in their careers, and then I'll have a brief comment just to wrap up. Steven, are you able to start that video?
Would you like me to try? I think
Sure. Do you have it?
Sure.
Thank you.
This is the one. Sorry. Can't make it bigger. Hold on. Sorry, I need to make it bigger. It's called What Your Commitment Means?
Yes.
Okay. All right, tell me if you can hear it.
We can't hear it.
That?
No.
Okay. All right, cool.
Maybe we can share this video separately. This video is, as I said, a number of young people from around the world who are engaging in healthcare and what it means for folks who've committed to getting WASH into healthcare facilities. I bring it up here because the faith community, especially the Catholic community, has a really important role to play. In some places, up to 50% of healthcare facilities are run by faith-based organizations. The Vatican Dicastery for Integral Human Development is taking a leadership role, I'm really happy to report. This past March, on World Water Day, it announced it would investigate wash needs in a range of Catholic-run healthcare facilities as a starting point to improve operations in facilities. But I have to say, every voice is needed, including yours. Just like beating back climate change, access to safe water is essential. So I founded Faiths for Safe Water to encourage all faiths to unite around our shared symbol, embody interfaith cooperation, and make water the source of health and life for all. So feel free to check out our website for lots of free resources and ideas. It's faithsforsafewater.org. Thank you.
Thank you so much, dear Susan. This is very amazing. I'm sure there are many young people who are here from different universities who are doing healthcare or medicine as faculty. So it's good, like, people to learn this particular aspect of water when it comes to medical service, and yeah, also the spiritual aspect of it. Very, very, very important. And also we're gonna share that link so that our participants can also meditate on it. Thank you so much. At this particular point also, I would like to have somebody also from 350.org. These are also other partners that we've been working together, and they've been really mentoring. They've been on leading the movement of breaking away from fossil fuel. Yeah, mentoring young people, doing global climate strike. But currently, they are promoting recovery from COVID. So it's very interesting and important for people to know whatever we are doing, from which are working from, but we need really a just recovery. So if you are around, yeah, talk to us briefly and tell us what are some key points of just recovery, and we will share a link with others so that they can learn more about it. This seems Rukia is not around. All right, if Rukia is not around, I would invite also Donald Acheng from Caritas. As you know, that's the branch of Catholic Church, and they take the lead in implementing programs like Laudato Si, level. Dear Donald Acheng, are you around? Okay, if Donald is not around, still we can invite Paul Mutuku from Youth for Nature. Paul Mutuku is another expert who has been working with the youths around Africa. He has many stories. As you know, today we are making young people to be the real heroes of our time. So I know Paul Mutuku has much to share, but he'll share briefly some stories. I guess Paul is around.
Thank you so much, Steve, and hello, everyone. I'm happy to join the rest of you to share about the intergenerational and interreligious aspects when it comes to creation care and actually taking care of a common home, planet Earth. So as Steve introduced, I'm with Youth for Nature, which is an international organization mobilizing youth to take action on climate change. And we work at the intersections of both the climate and the biodiversity crisis. on storytelling rather, capacity building and knowledge sharing. In just a moment, I want to share a brief presentation with you all to just give a bit of perspective towards what young people are doing. Just a moment as I load the presentation. Could you see my slide, Steve?
Yes.
Steve, could you confirm if you can see, or anyone can confirm?
Yes, we see it now.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. So as introduced, I said that I'm working with Youth for Nature, and I tried to incorporate my presentation around the role of Laudato Si on what young people can engage when it comes to nature-based solutions implementation. And as we know, the world is getting to the new decade of the UN decade of ecological restoration. And for us young people, we're already acting on the ground, and we are pushing for more inclusion, for more leadership, and for more on-ground initiatives to be able to work with the rest of the global citizens to achieve this mission. Moving on, our main missions are to mobilize young people to advocate for political leaders to deliver up to 30% of the required climate solutions by 2030. And the 30% is a scientifically proven threshold from the IUCN and other global research facilities that have been able to quantify that fraction that nature-based solutions can play towards helping us mitigate effects of climate change and biodiversity loss. And the second mission for us is to elevate the voices of young people by giving them a platform to share their stories and have their stories being heard. And up to date, we've been able to share over 100 stories from young people or young groups that are doing several projects on the ground to help mitigate climate change effects and also help restore the degraded lands from deforestation and of course land degradation. And we are lucky to have over 50% of these stories coming from Africa. It shows that young people are really up to the task. And finally, we seek to build the capacity of young people as stewards of our nature for climate movement. And usually we'll do this by linking them up with experts, with organizations, and also with our capabilities. We try to see whether or if or how we can link them up to or with financial institutions. Just to bring it closer home, so most of our areas of engagement are around awareness creation, and under this we encourage young people, actually ourselves, to conduct environmental education to raise more awareness on the role of nature and on the role of nature-based solutions to help us mitigate and also be custodians of the creation that God has bestowed upon us. And also we engage on community exchanges to just bring the discussions closer home and have young people interact more and know what natural resources are around them and what we can do to protect them. Further, we also do on-ground projects. For instance, the pictures you're seeing, these pictures I took from Arusha, Kenya. And during this time, this is an organization, a Christian conservation organization that is working on biodiversity conservation and organic farming and the role of religion towards ensuring that we protect the very soils that give us the food that we eat, but also supporting biodiversity at the same time. So you can see there's a lot going on. We established lots of tree nurseries, fruit trees, and also more of an organic farming system that we educate farmers to come and learn about how they can better engage on their farms, no matter how small or big they are. And of course, again, we try to liaise young people on the innovations that they're having on nature. And we can see the both pictures showing what some of the young people are doing. On my left, this is someone who's been Masika Monjo. She's been working with communities in Kajiado, Kenya, to create awareness about innovation around gardening and how vertical gardens or multi-story gardens can really help give you more produce and thus helping curb food insecurity. And on the right, this is a lady, a student at Kenyatta University, who's been able to come up with a group and go all the way to Tanzania to exercise or implement organic farming and how that can help young people get an income out of the produce that they produce in their farms. And next on, these are some of the stories that we've collected from Africa. Briefly, to the top left, this is a young man from Kakamega, Kenya. And you know Kakamega holds one of the very critical forest ecosystems, Kakamega Forest. And so some of the dangers that are facing the forests include deforestation, of course, encroachment for expansion lands to agriculture and building, amongst so many others. So this young man has been able to convince his folks and communities to transition to organic farming and to farm with places not inside the forest. And to him, this is a very key contribution towards ensuring that we take care of our common home and ensure that we don't encroach into natural systems that otherwise cushion us from so many of these climate effects. To the top right, this is a young man, from Nigeria. His name is Elujulo Opemi. Now, he has been working with his group locally to create environmental sessions in local schools, but also train communities about how to engage in agroforestry and agroecology. And this basically has been able to give them both ecosystem benefits, but also give them more clean and healthy food to their plates. And to my bottom left, this is a lady called Elizabeth from Kenya. And Elizabeth has been one of our key storytellers from across the world. And she has started an organization called the Green Generation Initiative, where she seeks to create a new culture of environmentally conscious young people, or rather a nature-first kind of a generation, through talking to them about the simple steps that they can do to or take to protect the environment, including, of course, environmental education, tree growing, and protection of water sources. And to me, this is a very key contribution to humanity. The picture at the bottom, middle bottom, is a young man from Burundi and a project called Greening Burundi Initiative. So he's also been able to mobilize more resources from his pockets to set up one of the biggest local tree nurseries and grow indigenous trees and fruit trees that he can now distribute to his local community members, who can then plant them and, better build resilience on the faces of climate change. And same picture to my bottom right. This is a young man from Uganda who's been able to start a tree nursery. And for him, he's been able to also create a livelihood. So he'll sell the trees for tree planting expeditions, and also at the same time support biodiversity conservation. And this brings me to that, what do we think of young people? Now, young people have a lot of resources to offer, and some of the few that I think resonated most of us, that we got much time to innovate around problems. We have more energy, of course, than other members of the society. So this is an advantage that we can take advantage of. Then we have passion and creativity. And of course, we've seen now young people are good at movement building, from the climate strikes to decolonize to all in for climate, and so many other movements that young people are starting, and they're proving to be catalysts of change in our modern day problems. Now, of course, with these many resources on our side, we also made some problems like resources and exposure to opportunities. And these are some of the things that I believe older generations could really, and I'm seeing them already doing, just trying to break or reduce this gap by giving us these opportunities, like, for instance, speaking to other young people or sharing on the success stories that we've been able to register within our constituencies. And this will go a long way towards ensuring that we contribute and play an active role when it comes to taking care of creation and implementing nature-based solutions amongst other solutions for our planet. Now, just to wind up, I want to play a short clip to just inspire us about the power and the potential of climate change and what role you can play, or just to give you those about things that you can do either at your household level, at your office or school. So enjoy it before we come to the close of my presentation.
We know that technology and innovation are essential in responding to climate change, but it's important to remember that we have an advanced and innovative solution in nature itself. Natural climate solutions draw on the power of nature to help reduce emissions, remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and store it in natural systems. For example, natural ecosystems contain a vast amount of carbon. Protection and management strategies can ensure it's not released into the atmosphere, reducing overall emissions. Our forests, farms, and coasts can also help by extracting carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and storing it in soils, trees, and grasslands through photosynthesis. The planet's ability to capture and store atmospheric carbon can be greatly improved with strategies such as reforestation and conservation agriculture. But it's not simply about conservation and preservation. Mounting evidence suggests that there needs to be a contradiction between protecting our ecosystems and meeting the growing demand for natural resources. Innovating with how we manage our forests can help us meet emission targets and increase sustainable timber production. Natural climate solutions can also help communities adapt to climate change. Coastal wetlands absorb the power of storms and provide flood protection, while smart agricultural practices help farms withstand the extreme weather associated with global warming. The potential is there. Implemented globally and at scale, natural climate solutions can provide more than 30% of the emissions reductions required by 2030.
So thank you so much for your time. And of course, today being the International Day of Biodiversity, I wish to celebrate the day with you and just remind us that according to the theme that our solutions are in nature, let us go back to nature. Let us work together from religion to indigenous groups, to youth groups, and to farmers groups. Everyone's contribution is much needed, and we need to play our different parts to ensure that we take care of God's creation for the betterment of humanity. These are some of our informations. If you need to reach out to us, you're welcome to do that. And thank you so much for the time, Steve.
Thank you so much, Paul Mutuku from Youth for Nature. Yeah, it's good you shared really this achievement by young people. This is what makes them to be heroes of our time. That is why we celebrate Laudato Si. Also, we celebrate their achievements. Thank you so much, and you will share also with us like the slides so that we can continue inspiring and share with some of participants who would love to learn more and get in touch with you. So, for the sake of time, I immediately introduce Alan Otaro from SAINESA. Alan Otaro also has an experience with the young people in the Catholic Church around Africa. And he has been also working with the Global Catholic Climate Movement. He has a lot of experience to share with us so that young people can get more inspired and encouraged to take way forward. Welcome, Alan. Hope Alan is around.
Thank you, Stephen.
Karibu.
Hello, can you hear me?
Karibu.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve, and thanks everyone, and happy International Biodiversity Day to everyone. It's such a pleasure to be part of such inspiring young leaders, but also generally people working on living Laudato Si or bringing Laudato Si to life. So for me personally, one of the most inspiring things in the encyclical Laudato Si, when it was released 5 years ago, was the words of Pope Francis in paragraph 13, where he says that young people demand change, and they wonder how anyone can claim to be building a better future without thinking of the environmental crisis and the sufferings of the excluded. So his realization or his acknowledgement that young people are critical players in calling to account, especially those who have responsibility to make decisions, that the decisions that they make have to take into account both the cry of the earth and the cry of the poor, as has been so eloquently explained by previous speakers on different elements. Just to share a brief highlight about SINESA. SINESA is the Catholic Youth Network for Environmental Sustainability in Africa. And last year we had the privilege, together with other partners, UN Environment and EAD's Office, Faith for Earth, the WWF Regional Office for Africa, and the Vatican's Dicastery for Promoting Integral Human Development, to host a conversation with bringing together young people from different parts of the world to share their experiences of living Laudato Si, but also to express their hopes for for the environment, for ecological conversion, which is a journey that all of us are embarking on. But also just to highlight that for a lot of young people, they have the strength, they have the desire, as Paul has just explained. They have a lot of different elements that are very important and are critical and can be harnessed to realize the ecological dividends that we need to create a healthy planet for everyone, but also to ensure that we are able to sustain the guarantee intergenerational dialogue, so that the ecological sustainability that we are aiming for can also be enjoyed by future generations. As he had mentioned earlier, young people are both the present but also the future generation. So there's that kind of continuum of looking forward towards what's coming in the future, while catering for the needs of the present, which is very critical, especially for a young continent like Africa, where more than 70% of the population is below the age of 30. However, we find that as it has been the experience of SINESA, which focuses on helping young Catholics especially to develop a deep understanding of Catholic social teaching as it relates to care for creation. And Father Mbaro was kind enough to explain some of the principles of Catholic social teaching, and also to understand better the contemporary ecological issues, whether it is biodiversity or climate change, and the linkages between all these different environmental ecological crises that we face. So the linkage about, for example, how climate crisis is loss of biodiversity, and how biodiversity and reclaiming biodiversity can help advance some of the targets that we are aiming to realize in terms of climate action. As the theme goes for International Day for Biological Diversity, that our solutions are in fact in nature. And even with the COVID crisis that we are facing, we can see that even some of the issues relating to the race for vaccines, most of the medicines that we have come from nature, come from different plants, different natural elements that we can find in nature. And so understanding the contemporary ecological issues that we face is critical also for young people to be aware of, so that the action that they make in responding is made from an informed point of view. I'm sure many of you have seen cases where people had the good intention of planting trees, for example, but they planted the wrong types of trees for a particular ecological system, or they planted trees too close to, for example, streams or rivers and so on. So the intention can be good, but then the implementation of the action can be faulty depending on the information that is available, that is provided for people to act. The second element of our work with young people involves networking and advocacy, and the two go together, because if you create a massive group of people who are working towards a common goal, then you have a stronger bargaining point for action. And you can see this from many different youth activists working on whether it's climate action or divestment or biodiversity, that by coming together, then they are able to have a stronger voice. And that's also one of the roles of SINESA, to see how we can have a critical mass of young Catholics who clearly understand Catholic social teaching, but also can link it with contemporary ecological issues and work across the board with different stakeholders, bring together different expertise, hold to account the people who make policies, so that the policies that they make are able to respond to both the cry of the earth and the cry of the poor. And the third element is about the concrete practical actions. So how to get young people to prepare concrete environmental action plans that we think they should do, but rather we invite them to, through a process of discernment, to find out what is it that is a need in your community, immediate need or medium, long-term need in your community, and how are you inspired to respond to that need, and then create an enabling environment, linking them with expertise or resources to be able to find opportunities to implement those needs that they are responding to within their communities. Challenges, we find that as far back as 1992 at the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development, or the Rio Conference, there was already speeches by young people such as Sevan Suzuki. And if you watch the speech of Sevan Suzuki and you relate it to the speech, for example, of Greta Thunberg, they sound very similar. One was made in 1992 and another was made in 2018. But all calling for inclusion of young people in decision-making processes, and for the older generation to be more responsible and to pay close attention to the impact of their decisions that they're taking now on both present and future generations. So there are a lot of people who still talk about young people without really having young people at the center of their discussions, or having them really listen to what ails young people. And I think also within the Catholic Church, I think the Church has a strong responsibility, as Laudato Si calls all of us, and Pope Francis reminds us that young people are indeed a critical part of this process. And the other important document that you could read hand in hand with Laudato Si to understand how we can indeed really put young people at the center of this is the apostolic exhortation, Christus Vivit, or Christ is alive, in which Pope Francis also reminds us that we really need to have young people at the center of decision making, even within the structures of the church. So whether it's at the level of the parish, at the level of the diocese, and other structures, we need to ensure that to bring that energy of transforming the words of Laudato Si into something concrete and into real action, we need to be able to provide those opportunities, but also to put money where our mouths are. If you are running a youth organization, you will know and you will have the experience that finding resources is one of the toughest things you can ever experience. The moment you make your pitch and you explain that you are from a youth organization, everybody starts to look at you in a suspicious way, thinking that you may not be able to take responsibility for your actions, or that you may not be able to have the capacity to realize what you're doing. So therefore, being able to foster training, provide internships, for example, and mentoring relationships that can teach young people how to develop partnerships for greater synergies, stronger intergenerational bonds, and increased participation in decision-making is critical, as is involving young people in design, implementation, and evaluation of the policies that affect them. So in conclusion, just to say that this Laudato Si anniversary, 5th anniversary, provides us with a very good opening, an opportunity for us to look at what are the synergies that we need to strengthen. How can we enhance collaboration so that we lessen the silos that we work in, and we bring down those silos and work more closely in a collaborative manner rather than as independent entities, while respecting the character and mission of our respective organizations that we are in, and to foster cooperation rather than competition. So thank you very much for this opportunity to share. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Alan. This was very wonderful, and yeah, it's good. Like, this is opportunity for us to see where we are, what are new strategies, how can we really move forward towards Agenda 2030, but also, yeah, just recovery of people on the planet, yeah, thank you so much. And this particular time, as we wrap up, would like to invite Pasi Amayo. Is another amazing climate activist, and she has been engaging young people in schools. Yeah, she's been running campaign all in for climate action. Yeah, Pasi Amayo, welcome. Tell us about what you have for young people and how can we move forward as we celebrate.
Thank you so much, Steve, and thank you to all the presenters that have given us much needed information to guide us as we celebrate this International Day of Biodiversity. My name is Amayo Pasi, as Stephen has mentioned. I work for the Society for International Development as the program officer in charge of energy futures and the impact of this to the climate and the environment. I also am the founder of All In for Climate Action Kenya, and also putting together the network in East Africa and Africa as a whole. If you don't mind, I would like to share my screen just to kind of show you the kind of work that the youth have been engaged in from my point of view. So the All In for Climate Action movement was founded last year, and it was a network of youth from all over the world who came together to petition their governments to begin to take immediate action towards addressing the climate crisis. As you can see, we had over 90 petitions from 90 countries. This process was purely led by the youth, and I started the petition for Kenya. Globally, we managed to harness over 1.7 million signatures. These were then collated and presented to the United Nations General Assembly and was greatly received by the Secretary General last year during the UN Climate Action Summit. So this is just to prove that the youth can have an innovative way to inform policy when it comes to climate change. There are various ways. You can go for strikes, you can petition your government, and they do listen. I will just bring your attention to the Kenyan petition. Unfortunately, I am great. So for the Kenyan petition, we were able to mobilize 2,700 signatures. This petition was presented to the Ministry of Environment, who were very welcoming to the youth who rallied together to strike and march to go and deliver the petition. At the time, there were over 1,000 youth, and we were received by the ministers then to receive this petition on behalf of the youth. I will just briefly at this point share with you how the work around energy is interconnected to the climate crisis and what role the youth have to play, seeing as they're the future now and tomorrow. So energy plays a very big role in the way we live. It's in our bloodstream. But unfortunately, in Eastern Africa, which is where our work focuses on, our energy system still depends on the 19th century technologies. When I say this, I mean, when you look at what the ordinary people are using for fuel, what they depend on is biomass. And this is because it is reliable, it is available, and it is cheap. When you look at the investments in the energy sector, they're mainly 20th century energy technologies. These have proven to be unreliable, inaccessible, expensive, not to mention the kind of impacts that this has on the environment. So we're saying most people in East Africa use biomass energy, and most investments are in electricity and fossil fuels. Now, as we appreciate that some of the presenters today have talked to us about the impact on scarcity of water, we've talked about health, we've talked about protecting the environment from litter, plastic waste, and planting trees for the sake of biodiversity, we cannot forget that the 21st century is a world of limits and in need of a global energy transition if we are truly to meet and address the climate crisis. We can see that global warming has caused a lot of climate change. In the recent days, we've been talking about the invasion of locusts in Eastern Africa. We have seen floods that has displaced very many people and even killed over about 200 people in Kenya. This is an issue that we must tackle, and the youth must continue to rally around this initiative, be able to secure the future that they need. Finally, as I conclude my presentation, I have to emphasize that as the days go by, there is increasing demand for energy, travel, things, food, and people. However, the corona pandemic has been able to see governments limit human activities, and we have seen reports of how that has impacted even the air quality globally. That said, if we should return back to normal after this coronavirus, we will continue to experience an unstable climate, reduced biodiversity, lack of water per person, less land per person, and less air quality. Therefore, I just want to call us back as we meditate spiritually on our care for the common home, but also to remember that after this pandemic, we really need to build back better. So thank you very much, Stephen, for this opportunity. And I want to call your attention to our Energy Future stories that will also help us to meditate as we move forward. And these stories, we are currently using them to educate youth in schools, university, be able to understand the different possibilities that might happen with the energy sector as currently is if we do not call for a global, clean, sustainable energy future for all. Thank you very much.
Wow, so amazing. Thank you so much, Amayo, for this beautiful presentation. And really very much inspiring. As I said, everything is connected. That is the theme of Laudato Si as we celebrate this time. And we've been speaking from different angles to show how everything is connected. I would like also to hear from Cornelius from Tanzania, because I'm not seeing Salome online, but I know Cornelius, he's also involved in tourism and the care for animals. And I know many young people have been really asking what can we do to care for animals, because we know there are people in charge. If you go to wildlife service, you find there are people in charge. But what can we do for animals, like young people? What can young people do if we want to? Because there are many who love animals, but they don't know what they can do for them. So welcome, Cornelius from Tanzania. Introduce yourself and tell young people, encourage them, motivate them. Cornelius, are you around? Okay. Are you around? Okay, welcome.
Hello?
Yes, yes. Can you speak? Ah, yeah. Okay, okay. There's another Cornelius from Tanzania. He's not online. Let us also, we can welcome.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Let us welcome Professor Okemwe. He's with the Harmony Institute, and they've been working on care for little ones, like they have programs in the schools with children. What do you do with them if Prof. Okemwe, you are still around? What can you share with us?
Me.
Welcome.
Yeah, my name is Professor Ezekiel Okemwa from Kenya. And I'm retired civil servant. I used to work with the Kenya Marine and Fishery Research Institute as the Director General. And in 2006, I was a winner of climate change. We got the Nobel Peace Prize winner, which I shared with the former Vice President of the United States, Al Gore. And at the moment, I'm at the University, Technical University of Mombasa. My profession, I'm a biological oceanographer, and my interest is on climate change. At the moment, I'm the chairman of the UN Civil Society, and our interest is to have the interest of young people, and more particularly the we are dealing with on putting our young people together to save Lake Victoria. More particularly, we are talking of the population of the Great Lakes. We are talking of over 200 million Africans. And at the moment, what is happening is very disheartening, because the westernized development that people are praising is killing our people, more particularly the agra, where we get GMOs which have been introduced to Western Kenya. And people in Western Kenya are using fertilizers, the pesticides, and we have industrial effluents, more particularly from Coca-Cola. And then, of course, we have the governmental scams which come in. And let me say one thing here, and this is very important. Lake Victoria is the second largest freshwater body in the world. Over the 4 decades, however, the lake has faced a number of environmental problems, including pollution, biodiversity loss, habitat destruction, and soil erosion. It is estimated that the lake's indigenous fish species have been reduced by 80%, and over 70% of the forests around the lake are destroyed. And here we have over 70% also of the indigenous fish species have been reduced. And what is happening at the moment is that the water that is flowing to the lake is full of silt and nutrients. And the Lake Victoria is like a soup. And I can assure you, Lake Victoria is dead. And I had an experience in 1979 when we had to use the remote operated vehicles to go, to see what was happening in Lake Victoria, and the bottom is completely dead. So that's why we are rallying young people to come up and detoxify Lake Victoria from heavy metals. And I can assure you, at the moment, the waste in Lake Victoria is in 2 lines on highway. One flowing down into the lake is the waste and the pollution generated upstream. We have about 7 rivers going to Lake Victoria. In the opposite direction, the lake, we have those biodiversity that are leaving the basin. More particularly, the exploitation of fish. And then we have the gold from Makalda mines in Andeketere. And we can see that there is a lot of heavy metals going to Lake Victoria. That's why we are rallying young people on environmental education programs and faith-based. And here we have also academia, Technical University of Mombasa, and the Cooperative University of Kenya. We are teaming up to educate our young people and see that we save Lake Victoria. Now, Lake Victoria, one can look at it in two ways. One is on pollution. Secondly, the water hyacinth, which people say is a menace. At this moment, with the westernized development, we can say we can save Lake Victoria now. How can we do it? Young people have to come up and then rally together and do what we call reforestation of the 7 rivers that enter into Lake Victoria. Because all these rivers, I can assure you, in the water catchment, especially on Western Kenya, we have Busia, Kabisabet, Nandi, Transmara, South Nyanza, Kisii, Nyamira. All those areas are highly populated. And in their agricultural development, they use fertilizers. And during rain season, if you fly over, you will see Winam Gulf completely brown. And the brownness is not good. It is pollution. Secondly, at the moment, you have heard from the media that the lake has risen. The rise in the Lake Victoria is like now the fish have also been invaded. How have they been invaded? Normally fish breed on the shallow grounds. And when the shallow grounds, water rises up, it means that the breeding ground is destroyed. With these current rains, we are going to have many species going to disappear in Lake Victoria. So once we do reforestation of the 7 rivers that within that catchment I've mentioned, then we have to see that we save Winam Gulf. And for us to do that, it is possible that we revitalize Winam Gulf with oxygen levels, because the bottom of Winam Gulf is completely having a rotten bottom. Excuse me. Once we protect the lake wetlands, we will have another way of conserving our bands, and then the fishing breeding grounds, as I've said. And here we need to collaborate with our friends, more particularly young people, to know that, for one, when we look at the water hyacinth, let us not look at it as a menace. Let us look at it in terms of economy. Water hyacinth can be used as biofuel. It can also be made as fertilizer. It can also be made as food, green salad. We can have biocharcoal. We can have animal fodder. We can have compost. So in a way, let us change the mentality, because I know of Lake Basin, people in the past, they have brought in the beetles to eat the water hyacinth, which is really an awkward situation where World Bank and European Union, they pumped in a lot of money, which should not be the case. But if we can use water hyacinth as a resource, then introduce new technologies. Our young people can venture into business, also talk to the communities around. We can have what we call clean energy using our Chuakali people, and there are many things that can be done. Secondly, when we are talking of cleaning Lake Victoria, we have at the moment we are working with the scouts. If we can introduce on the rivers, plant the bamboo trees, the papyrus, water lilies, the vetiver grasses. This way we'll be able to clean the rivers and have what we call the heavy metals cleaned up. There's another way which I have seen the previous presenter has done, that we can introduce and teach young people about urban agriculture. So
Okomwe, we are losing you. We are losing you. Okay, you will add in chat box your final remarks. Let us have somebody else as we finalize. And this gonna be Ashley Kitisia is a young lady from the Catholic University of Eastern Africa. She's a former Miss of Catholic University of Eastern Africa, and she has been leading this climate movement with young people. I know you have a few remarks to share with us on behalf of young people and the group that we've been working together. Ashley, welcome. Share with us. Ashley Kitisia. Ashley Kitisia is not there. Okay, still Ruth Chelagat. Ruth Chelagat has been together with many youths who have been in a pro-life movement, and they were able to connect that with Laudato Si. Ruth, regarding to what Richard Kaketo has shared, what do you have to add this so that we can all get this connectedness? Ruth, are you around? Ruth? Okay, Ruth is not there. Okay. Sheikh Mohammed Khan has been working also with the youth at interfaith level. Sheikh, are you still with us? Okay, Sheikh is not there. At this particular point, Ruth? Ruth, you are around? Can you? Ruth, are you around? Okay, no problem. Okay, okay. Ruth, do you want to share something? Okay, maybe it could be problem of network because we see her online. Good. I would like maybe from Father Herman Borg, Mother Earth Network, you give final remarks, then I will be able to hear from one young people, then we close this. Welcome, Father.
Good evening, and to everybody whom I could listen to, could see, could share with. Thank you for all the implications, for all the detailed information. We could go on to listen to more stories, explanations, scientific implementations. So thank you that we have the feeling faith is uniting with the world. Faith and their faiths are uniting with the scientists and with the knowledge of our times. My greatest, deepest impression is the young people are willing, ready to embrace and to implement the knowledge, this scientific knowledge of our days, what is taught in our classroom, what you read in books, and what is reported in the media. We embrace it, and they embrace it. My congratulations. My congratulations for this event. We are together. Our voice is heard throughout continents, throughout the world. We have the right to express ourselves and to forward our implications, our commitments, our way forward in the enlightenment from above, in the enlightenment from the Bible, Quran, and other religious books, which bring us together and not anymore disuniting us. They unite us in the common effort for a common world, for a common human home for all, and we feel this togetherness and the common effort for the benefit of life of all generations. The babies which are born in these days want to live in an affordable way, in an affordable world, in a profitable world, in a profitable environment. Let us conclude in this way. Thank you, Stephen, for the preparation, Sister Mary Francis, and all. And I'm happy that Mother Earth could contribute. We worked since years and years, planting of trees, and I've just come with one plant here, hidden a bit. This is nothing else than the herbal plant. Bring us life to the full, to face Corona in coronavirus and the infections of our days. This is the most cheap, healthy plant we can find in the world, and we have hundreds and thousands available for special religious institutes, religious houses, and our families. Whoever would like to have it in the garden or in the institute, please connect us, find the connection to us, and we will forward and provide for you. Together with Benedictine sisters, together with quite a number. We have so many thousands in Kiambu, in Kisumu, and so some real affordable Artemisia centers here already created in Kenya for the benefit of all, what the people in Madagascar had experienced to survive with and to face the infection of coronavirus. Here it is, the resolution for our survival and for our health. I don't know if I should say a few words of thanks. I think the words I want to say, even in the enlightenment from above, if it is Allah, if it is God of the Bible, if it is the gods of the Hindu religious systems, we are all united in orientation, in common togetherness, in common efforts. Thank you for being together, and I hope we find the right word that nobody feels excluded. Everybody has to feel included. Professor Iyad from the UN is doing great work for the benefit of mankind and has discovered the valuability of faith again. What are the value systems of Quran, of Christianity, of the Bible, of the other religious systems, and we are united in these value systems, gives us light, empowerment, orientation for ourselves, and for the next generation to come. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Father Herman. We really appreciate your involvement, your achievements, your mentorship to young people. Yeah, some of us, we are your product. We really acknowledge that and we appreciate so much. And we pray, God, that you really live longer to mentor young people and to care for our Mother Earth. Yeah, on a program there was launching of a song, but we've had a problem of network. This song will not be played, but we've shared the links. You will see them in the chat box. There is a song on Laudato Si celebration that was recorded by the Waka Waka band. And what also today we were meant to do is to highlight this work of young people, and it was done by many panelists, many speakers. They highlighted the work of young people. And that is why today I wanted us, we call them the heroes of our time, because young people, they've really taken the front, the lead, they've taken the risk, they've been on the streets striking, some have gone out even during this period of COVID-19, they've been doing some recommendable job. To conclude this, I have just some few slides for 2 minutes that I would like to highlight. Can you open this for me, Vian? So next, young people, first of all, the work of religious I'm trying to summarize, as Sister Mary Fadambaro said, you can see how our fathers, our priests, our sisters, if they are in the front, they can lead this young generation, they give them inspiration. This is a Franciscan brother from Tanzania that we've been working together on this, and he has done a lot during global climate strike, even today. He has launched officially in Tanzania with the leaders, the birthday tree planting campaign. Yeah, he has a good and a strong team in Arusha and Dar es Salaam. So here I would like also to highlight the birthday tree planting campaign that people, many speakers from Catholic University and the Franciscans have been presenting. There is a group of young people here holding seedlings that would like to show. Can you show me that? All right. This work of birthday tree planting campaign, I would like to encourage people who are with us here on this platform. Take time when you're celebrating birthday with your children, with brothers and the sisters, just plant one tree. It matters. Only one single tree. As our late Professor Ongai Madai said, that just the little contribution you can do will make an impact. So let us use many celebration and plant more trees, but right trees in the right places. This Otaro has also mentioned that some are having a good intention, but not doing it well. But I would like also to say that tree is an aspect of unity, of love. This campaign has brought young people together in different countries here in the East African region where it has been happening. There is this photo of a lady from Green Anglican giving a gift to this priest in this deacon in Dandora. And this photo, it means a lot for us. Like when we are talking of interfaith, ecumenical action. So we love this campaign the way it brings people together from different diversity, and we've taken a tree to be a gift, not only gift of other things that people have been giving to birthdays, but this one can be a special gift that you can give to somebody who has birthday. So we really invite you to join this campaign. It has been a great vehicle to carry this Laudato Si around the region. I would like also to mention that there are some others that we did not feature their photos here from countries like Rwanda, where the Laudato Si group in Rwanda, like they are celebrating even the baptism. Like there is a priest who was with us here for the Flore, I think he left. He has been baptizing people and they are getting out, planting trees. People have been really celebrating in the parishes. They've taken this in a spiritual way. They've taken this down to the church in the parish, and this is what Laudato Si is meant to be. But also Laudato Si need to go down to the little ones. This photo you see, Laudato Si Generation Africa, Father Haman and others. This is one parish in Rongai at St. Monica with the PMC. These kids of pontifical missionaries, young people, they are children, they have taken this as their agenda, and they have different programs and activity they are doing around the church. So this is just to inspire somewhere around from different parishes. There are things that you can do with these young people, because it has been a question, like I've been asked by many people, what can little kids can do in their parishes or their home? There is a lot. So I would like also to emphasize that during this time of COVID-19, there are people who are doing a recommendable job in their confinement, their lockdown. This is one of members of Laudato Si Generation who is in Eldoret. Yeah, Prezi Jemtaishi with Juma in Busia, and we have many young people who are doing their kitchen garden, who are doing organic farming. And this is now what we want, like young people during this period of COVID-19. When it will be over, when we are talking of just recovery, what shall we present or celebrate? We should go out as a winner. So this is the spirit we are having with this group. We keep in touch from wherever they are. But I would like to emphasize on this little girl. This little girl, her name is Maya, and she's Kenyan. She has been very key in fighting against climate change. Apart from of this time, you see, like she's busy in her kitchen garden at home, but she has been also in front during climate strike, global climate strike. I have one photo of Maya, and I'm really proud to call her a hero. She's really a hero. Like she's been in front. We started knowing this lady during Africa VUCA movements last year in May. We saw just her. We saw a small kid crying, like making noise, shouting loud, chanting than even many other people. There are no distance that she has failed to walk, to march. So this is very important, like to say that Greta, she has many brothers and sisters who are doing the same work like she's doing. So it's good to consider, this is why it's good to consider these young ones, to nurture them so that they can own this present and the future, because they are the ones who has energy, they are the ones who has many years, who have interests. The interest in their future, their present, the way they should really take control and own this. So for Laudato Si Generation, young people, they are ready. They've been doing a lot. They've taken risk. They've taken the front, and they are proud of this. I'm happy to mention this to you. And I think this particular point, I will invite our guest of today, Dr. Yad. If you are around, you can give us a conclusion, like after hearing these other panelists and other who spoke, it can be a conclusion to us, then we call it. Thank you. Dr. Yads, you still around? I think no. Brother Ben around? So let me ask the person technical side to highlight the people who are following from Burundi and say hi from Scouts. And I'm happy to mention that through the spiritual movement in the parishes is good. That it is a good channel to use to also to promote this Laudato Si. So the group of Scouts, Espoir, Burundi, Gitega, I'm seeing them. There is a Mzungu, there is a Jean Claude. We greet you and we are happy and proud of the work you are doing. Yeah, the people of Rwanda, I think they've left. The people from DRC, I've seen them, but I think they've left also. Let me thank everybody and tell you that we are all connected. And thank you, that it's good to partner and keep in touch, keep informing us what you are doing. And we remain really connected. This was good to meet you. I would love to invite Father Haman to give us a final prayer, the blessing.
Yes, oh Lord. The thanks goes to you for our involvement, for our implications, for our commitments, for our initiatives, thinking, ideas of thinking and reflection, and the way we listen to one another. We listen to the politicians, we listen to the lecturers in university, we listen to the media when we get the information concerning environment, the demand of Lake Victoria, the demand in our water systems, the demand in our air conditions. Lord, we thank you that you are with us, that you want to continue, accompany us, stay with us, share with us, care for us, maintain us in the highest, with the highest authority possible we can count with. We make our prayer in our Christian manner through Jesus Christ our Lord.
Amen. 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 So let us pray this song as we finalize this.
Laudato Si Celebration. Si, celebration, Laudato Si, oh mi Signore, Laudato Si, generation, Laudato Si, oh mi Signore, Laudato Si, celebration, Laudato Si, oh mi Signore, Laudato Si, generation, Laudato Si, oh mi Signore.
Building a better world together, one world with a common plan, praying for creation, living simply, advocate for our common home. Per Dio, l'umanità e la natura. Grazie Santo Padre Papa Francesco per il Laudato Si. Waka waka!
Wonderful. Thank you everybody. And we shall continue discussion. To inform you that we are doing tweeting. People have been tweeting from the beginning of this session. We will continue after online tweeting using hashtag faith action or people and planet justice. Yes, if you are on Twitter, you can get that in the tag. You can tag Catholic University, you can tag Justice and Peace, you can tag Faith for Earth, you can tag 350 Africa, you can tag, yes, the Global Catholic Climate Movement also. So let us keep in touch. Thank you and bye-bye. Thank you all panelists, thank you for all speakers, thank you all participants. It was wonderful and amazing. We love you all.
Bye. I leave.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When the politics and the scientists surrender to the Lord, when the richest and the poorest cry with the same voice, at that time you know that we are all equal before God. You understand? There is a lesson to learn for the fact our oneness is crying for life. God is good all the time. God Almighty, hear our cry.
I've been crying for justice, and I'm still here to resist COVID-19.
I say, don't be afraid. We are not ready to die.
There is a room for all. Stay safe, don't be afraid. There is a God taking control. There is a room for all. Stay safe, don't be afraid. There is a God taking control. Today will shape the new world of tomorrow in economy, health, in climate, and an option for the poor. We live in meditation in quarantine nation, praying for no more transmission.
Discipline's a key when God is taking action. Reggae music is a thing for depression. The God of digital technology, we think global in solidarity.
Learning online, praying and meeting and shopping online. Stay safe, don't be afraid. There is a God taking control. There is a room for all. Stay safe, don't be
change. We did wrong now, there's nothing we can. Take down your ego, greed action must change. I stand for just recovery of people and planets. Stay safe and no mistake, I say.
There is a room for all. Stay safe, don't be afraid. There is a God taking control. There is a room for all. Stay safe, don't be afraid. There is a God taking control. There is a room for all. Stay safe, don't be afraid. There is a God taking control.
Talento Classic.
I'm using Wix. Let me show you how I did it. Do the same. We use Wix Video to showcase product demos so users can learn all